How's it going? My name is Terrace Black, and I'm the creator of a new card game called Parish Dueling Knights. And this is going to be a quick video to show you guys how to get in and start playing. In Parish Dueling Knights, you and your opponent will both play off the same 60 card deck. You'll figure out a way of who goes first, whether it's rolling dice or a good old rock, paper, scissors. This will determine who draws first, as well as whose card will resolve first when going up against each other. Once you figure out who goes first, you'll both take turns drawing 6 cards each. From those 6 cards, you'll choose 4 to play face down in a sequence that's mirrored across from each other. Once both players have decided that their sequence is set, you'll both flip them over simultaneously. And like I said, the person going first card will resolve first, and then it goes to the person going second. You'll keep doing this all the way down your sequence until all your cards have been played. Once it's all done, all of your cards will go to the discard pile except any cards that still remain face down. Those cards will go back to your hand. Once that's complete, once again starting from the player going first, you'll both draw back up to 6 cards and repeat this process until you or your opponent's health goes from 20 to 0. So as you can see, the general gameplay loop of Parish is very simple, but what makes it get a little bit more detailed and require a bit more skill and precision comes the mechanics that make the game special. So let's go over some of those mechanics now. First off, let's go over what it means for a card to count as resolved. See, initially you might think that just because you flipped over the card, it means it did, but this just means you played the card. In order for it to officially count as resolved, any portion of its effect has to go through successfully. So that means a weapon, for instance, needs to deal some amount of damage to count as resolved, whereas other things like a basic shield just looks to block up to any portion of damage. That could even be 0, meaning that it always counts as resolved unless your opponent steals it from you. But then you might have something like a deflecting shield that says its effect only happens when it deflects damage. So if no damage was deflected, it doesn't count as resolved. Second, let's go over one of the most engaging mechanics, and that's the duel mechanic. See, a duel happens when 2 weapons are flipped over at the same time. Well, how do you know a card is a weapon? Well, only weapons have a banner in the top left corner with a value number attached to them. When a duel is initiated, the highest value wins. But this isn't just indicated by only the card that flipped over. See, you actually get to use any of the cards remaining in your hand to increase the value of that weapon. This goes into another mechanic called reinforcing, which allows you to discard any card from your hand with a value number attached to it to add that value to the current card that you're dueling with. So you can make something with a 2 value go up to 5 if you discard something with 3. Simple math. Ending a duel is very simple. Whatever card is the highest value wins, and that's the one that gets to resolve while the other doesn't. But let's say the numbers end up being equal. What do you do in that scenario? Well, it ends up being a draw, and the way that you decide it at that point is you either roll a dice or you do rock, paper, scissors, and then that person is the winner of the duel. Next is the on-hit mechanic. This is an ability that some weapons have, which means that once it deals any portion of damage to your opponent, you get to trigger this additional effect. Some are a may, and others just happen regardless. In Parish, some cards allow you to skip your own cards or make your opponent skip theirs. Whenever a card is skipped, it just means that it remains face down while it would traditionally be flipped over to be played. This means that if your third card was skipped, for instance, your opponent would still flip over their third, and then you would move on to the fourth. Now, what happens if you get to the end of the deck, but you're both still alive? Well, it just means you take the discard, shuffle it all together, and you keep going. It's all just one continuous deck, but sometimes things being in the discard do matter. And something also key that's tied to reshuffling the deck is that whoever was going first previously is now flipped. So now the person going second now gets to go first. This can be pretty impactful whether it's mid or late game, so keep that in mind whenever you go to shuffling the deck again. Now, that's essentially the way that you play Parish, and you just keep going until one of you is tired of losing duels over and over again, but it's surprisingly infectious, and if your one opponent doesn't want to play anymore, feel free to go grab somebody else in the LGS and get them in on the game as well. And if you'd like to keep up with the progress of the game and the development, please click on the links down below and follow the main pages. If the game hasn't already, it'll eventually be up for pre-sale and into your hands soon. If you already have it in your hands and you're watching this to brush back up on how to play, thank you, and see you next time.